What's up, y'all? As you guys saw in the title of this video, we are going to be reviewing my 2007 GT500 that I have back here. So, to start off, I just said the year of the car. The car is a 2007 GT500. It's white with the blue stripes. To me, this color is the most iconic since it's one of the original Shelby colorways. So the car is basically not stock. Almost everything on this car has been touched on by the previous owner, which has its good things and its bad things. More good than bad. The only bad I would say about this car is that I can't really do much more to it right now, at least mechanically, because everything is built except like internals or whatever. But with these cars you don't really need that. So to start off with the car, we'll start off with the outside. So the car is sitting on my old set of wheels from my 3-valve. They're the Boston CVTs, 19 by 8.5 in the front and 19 by 10 in the rear. The rears are sitting on 285. They're 285s in the rear, and then I believe 255s in the front. Besides that, cosmetically, it doesn't really have much else, externally at least, besides the 2.5-inch cowl hood. The better shot to give you an idea of where it sits at. The visibility is actually really good. It's not that bad. Other than that, just the front, like headlights are tinted. But yeah, that's it cosmetic wise. For the mechanical mods it has, as you can see, the first thing you see is the supercharger and the intake. So it has a 2.9 liter Whipple supercharger. It has a 2.85 pulley on it, and it has a VMP 67mm throttle body and a JLT Performance big cold air intake. Besides that, you can't really tell what else is done to it, but it has a dual fan heat exchanger. These fans are super loud. You've probably heard them in the past videos. Besides that, it has ID1000 injectors, which you can't see, and then it has long tube headers, which you probably can't see either. They're Cook long tube headers, and it also has a Cook's high flow cat X pipe. Besides that, it has the Corsa Extreme mufflers, which you can't really see, but we'll show you the tips right here. Just I don't know if you can see the Corsa on it or not, but yeah, they're Corsa Extreme mufflers. It has a E85 tune, so right now it only takes E85. That's basically it for the motor. Besides that, it has a MGW short throw shifter. These are super short and super notchy. Look, that's how short it is. They're super short. And then inside it just has the Cobalt series gauges and the clutch. I don't know if you've ever driven one of these, but it's not that stiff for being a stage 3 clutch. It also has Viking coilovers, which are fully adjustable. It has adjustable panhard bar since it's lowered, and then it also has upper control arms and lower control arms. The lower control arms are from Steeda, and the upper control arms are from BMR. And then the final thing this car has are the 355 gears that the previous owner put on this car. I believe the stock ones are 331s. Correct me if I'm wrong. So as you guys can clearly hear, I don't know how good the mic is picking it up, but this car is extremely loud whenever I'm over 2,500 RPMs. Anything below that is super quiet. It's dailiable. I daily this car, so it's not loud enough to the point where your ears are bleeding, at least when you're driving normally. But I mean, you can tell by the idle. The idle is pretty quiet, I'd say, for a car with long tube headers, an X-Pipe, and of course Extremes. The pulley and the whistle aren't that loud at idle. Not even when you're doing pulls, where I can't hear it anymore just because of the exhaust setup. And then the fans right now aren't that loud. Actually, they're pretty loud. Yeah, so this car is basically, I wouldn't say brand new, but for the year this car was made, since it's the first year the car was made, since this body style is 2007 to 2009, it's in really great condition. The only thing it has is this front end. As you can see, the fog light kind of things, and then the lights, they're messed up. If you didn't watch the previous video, I touched on it. I said the reason it's like that is because the car was wrapped, and so it had to be sanded down in certain spots to make it flush. But everything else, the paint is great on this car for being almost 13 years old. I still have some wrap here. But yeah, there's not much to this car cosmetically, but in terms of bolt-ons, everything's basically been done. I don't know exactly what path I'm going to take with this car yet. That's why I've just been driving it. So stay tuned with that. The only minor thing I can think of is the push the start button I have right there. But right now, we're just going to take the car for a drive, see my reaction from it, because I get the same reaction every time I'm driving this thing. It's just so damn fast. But yeah, so you guys are going to see. I might do a few pulls. I haven't gone full throttle on this just because it's so torquey. It's pushing. I know a lot of you have been asking how much horsepower this beast is pushing. So it has, it's about 840 crank, I think. But to the wheels exactly, it's 760 wheel horsepower and about 740 pound-feet of torque. So she's quick. She's really quick. Do I want to make her faster? I don't know. Maybe in the future, but for now, this is enough horsepower for me. But yeah, I'm just gonna throw the camera in here and then we're gonna go ahead and do a ride along. Alright, so we're in the car now and we're gonna go ahead and start going. So I don't know if you guys can hear the boost or the car, but it makes a good amount of noise. Oh yeah, and by the way, right now I'm reading 5 miles to the gallon. I usually get more. I average around like 9 miles to the gallon on E85. It's bad, okay. I'm gonna say it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. I'm just getting used to it, but it's pretty rough. I only have to pump around a full tank of gas a week, sometimes 2. So it's not too bad. For what it is. It's not too bad. But like, in terms of a daily driver, it's possibly one of the worst cars you can daily drive. So, touching on this car, I've always dreamed of owning a GT500, and there's a few reasons why I went with this model. The first one being, it's one of the more affordable ones. And I say affordable ones in quotation marks because these cars aren't that cheap. But their pricing is pretty competitive in terms of like S550-50s. So if you can afford an S550-50, you more than likely can afford an 07 to 09 GT500 because they're within the mid-20s to, at the highest I've seen them is maybe, you know, mid-30s, if that. I wonder, let's see if you hear it. That happened. So yeah, these cars, man, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's like, I'm gonna put this down, it's really bright. there's like a little whistling noise this car makes just because of the supercharger, which is weird. I would have thought I would make more of a whine noise, but it's more of like right when I let off, it's just making like whistling noises, and I love it. But yeah, back to the prices of these cars. They're within 25 to 35,000, depending on the mileage. This one specifically has 50,000 miles on it. The owner before me got it, I think, right before it was at 20K, and when I'm gonna go look at it, it had just hit 50,000. So this car has been cared for its whole life. I don't know who the first owner was, but they took really great care of it too. Mechanically, the car is perfectly sound. Basically, the only downside to it is the gas mileage, but when you're having this much fun and enjoying it, I mean, what can you really complain about, right? So, more on this car. I already touched up on most of the mods I can remember. I might have missed a few. 2007 GT500 with 760 wheel horsepower. That's crazy. The new GT500, whether you heard of it or not, is coming out, I think, late this year because it's a 2020 model. That one, I think, is pushing 770 to the crank. So this one is probably pushing more wheel horsepower than the new one is, but the new one is more aerodynamic. It has a better stock suspension. I'm not sure whether it's going to be lighter than this one. This one weighs roughly 4,000 with me in it. Probably a little more, maybe like 4,100, 42 at most. But yeah, this she fat. But yeah, the other one, the new GT500, I believe would still take this one just because of the automatic transmission, and since everything's just so modern and new. But this car is still great for to own one in 2019. It's probably, I wouldn't say it's the fastest car ever, but it's definitely one of the fastest cars you can buy for under $40,000, because a 2018-2019 fully loaded SY5050 will run you about 40 grand, if not a little bit more, if you get the performance pack with all the stuff, you know. So this car is a great platform to build on. The transmission is basically bulletproof. The motor itself is basically bulletproof. The reason I love this car and what the previous owner did to it was because he did all the suspension work. I'm not really a coilover guy. God damn, this is so nice. But since he has the upper and lower control arms, the panhard bar, and then he has the coilovers like dialed in to the right settings and everything, perfect. I'd probably go a little lower in the rear now because of my wheel setup, but the way he had it before, since he had it on 20s, was perfect. Like, I wouldn't have changed it at all. I just didn't really love the wheels, so that's why I put on these ones. So I just need to adjust the coilover height. But this car hops a lot less than I thought it would. All I heard about was how much this car was going to hop and how it doesn't really, you know, stick because of all the traction problems with these cars, because of all the torque and the horsepower. But this car really does put the power to the ground, at least in the pulls I've done. But like I said, I haven't done a full throttle pull in this car. I haven't owned it long enough, I think, to be completely comfortable, because it's just such a beast. Even stock, I probably wouldn't have done, you know, wide open throttle pulls on it, just because, from my experience, taking your time with the car to learn it and eventually get comfortable with it plays a huge part in how long you're gonna have it and how much crazy stuff you're willing to do, you know. I love going fast, clearly, you know, because I bought this car, but there's a line between hauling just because and knowing what you're doing versus not knowing what you're doing and just doing it just because. Alright, we're about to do a pull right here. So that was only to about 3,700 RPMs, and this car's red line is at about 6. But it goes, like it goes so hard. Man, I really just can't. When you have a car as torquey as this, all you do is this. And it's great, honestly. So, I know this review wasn't really a normal type of review that you would usually get, either from me or from like other YouTubers, but this is how I just felt I wanted to do this one, just because this isn't a regular review of another car, it's mine, and you're gonna continue to see it on this channel. So, that's basically it. It's my 2007 GT500 that I picked up in May of 2019, and it has a long road ahead of it in terms of what I'm going to do to it cosmetically, what I'm going to do to it in terms of mods. Eventually I do plan to make it faster, but for now I just want to get used to driving it with this much horsepower and get used to 760 wheel, because I've never driven a car with this much horsepower. My 3-valve before probably had 285, 290 wheel horsepower at most, if that. And so this is completely different kind of beast, and so I'm just trying to learn, is basically what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to learn and not end up, you know, being another Mustang meme with a wrecked car. So shout out to all of you guys for watching it. Shout out to everybody who subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate everyone who supports me. So drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.